Okay, we have everyone joining in. Let's go ahead and do our tech check before we get started. Can you hear me? Drop it in the chat. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone to our monthly new feature recap. So if you're new to this, every month we do a webinar and we like to get our customers on here to talk about a lot of the new features that we have recently released in the last month, but as well as a lot of the new features that we currently are working on. It's a great place for you guys to stay up to date, but also for us to continue to get feedback on how we can continue improving and building out the product. So we got about 75 of you guys in here right now. Let's go ahead and kick this off. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen. Now, I will say I'm traveling, so and my internet has been a little iffy. So let me know if I freeze up or cut out so I can repeat myself. All right, so let me share my screen. Okay. So there's a lot of good little updates that we released this last month that we're gonna get to talk about today. Again, if you guys have any questions or have any ideas on how to make these features better, please let us know. So this first one I want to talk about is one that we were getting a lot of feedback on in the Facebook group. So it's around workflow, and I think it's one if any of you guys that request this will be really excited about. So let me find a recurring project. Let's just make this one recurring real quick so I can show you. I need to give it a due date. Hold on. Okay. So this new update allows you to make all the tasks within a section recur or not recur. So let me give you the use case example here. We had a lot of customers that would maybe create a section in a project for random tasks. Let's call it that. And they would just put one-off tasks in here. So task one, task two, task three, right? And they don't want these tasks to recur with the project. And they keep it in the section. They want the section to recur, but they don't want the actual tasks in the section to recur, if that makes sense. So now what you can do is you can say, do not recur all tasks. So you can select that. So now when this project recurs for next month, this section of random tasks will recur, but none of the tasks in that section will recur. Okay, real quick, drop in the chat. Does that make sense? Does anyone see any value in utilizing this? And this was highly voted on in the Facebook group. Okay, Susan. Okay, a lot of good stuff. Oh yeah, so glad you guys like it. This is an exciting one. And if you guys, as you guys use it, if you guys see any other areas that we can improve on this, please let us know. But I just want to let you guys know. So again, to do this, okay, one important note is the project has to be recurring. If you go into a project and you click these three dots, you will not see the recur option if it's not a recurring project. So just make sure it's recurring. I had that happen earlier. I couldn't figure it out, and then I figured out the project wasn't recurring. Um, and then you can choose to make it not recur or recur. Um, Tim, you can't choose which tasks, but I believe if I go into a task, I believe, yeah, so you can do it on an individual task basis, right? But you have to go into each task and do it. This option was just to make it a little bit easier. So if you go into individual tasks, you can do that. But for each task, um, hey, David, if you reach out to the team, I'm sure you can talk with someone on customer success to help you set up your projects. Um, but yes, you can choose which ones. It's just a little bit more manual, but this option is more of a bulk apply option now. Okay. That is correct, Diane. By default, all sections are set to recur, but you can change the default by saying do not recur this section. This also works for client requests as well. You can choose not to recur client request sections, items in the section as well. If you change a template, it does not change the projects created from that template. So you'll need to go into your projects and update that, not just on the template level. Okay. So that was one of the workflow updates. Um, Another update is so this is let's let's talk about this mass assign. So on the invite team, there is an option to mass assign clients. And what this does is it's a good way to bulk assign clients to certain team members. So I can select the team members, right? So we changed this whole flow to make it a little easier. A lot of people felt like it was a little too complicated and too many steps. So now you can select multiple team members, and then you can choose the clients you want to assign those multiple team members. What's also great is you can also use this groups function to assign an entire group to these team of clients to these team members to make it a little bit easier. So that was one small update for assigning and managing work. Looks like we got some questions. Let me come back. Can you do assign to all projects? Could you give me more context on what you mean there? Because this, what I was just talking about there is assigning clients to team members. Are you saying you want to let me know if I'm correct on this one. Are you saying you want to, when assigning clients to team members, you also want to automatically assign an option to automatically assign all the projects of those clients to those team members as well? I'm curious, drop it in the chat. Do other people see a lot of value in that? Let me make this in the notes. Okay. Ability to also assign uh when you Natalie, in which month in report do you want class as a filter? Okay, I got that feedback. Thanks for that. Can you give me some more context around that if it's not a report function? Is it a function within a report though, or is it a function within all reports or certain reports? Okay, I'll wait for that response to come in. Um, so we talked about the mass assign. Let's talk about some an update with proposals. So we were getting a lot of feedback that people wanted to be able to see proposals on the client's profile, right? So in the billing tab now, you will see a section for so you can see all the proposals that are related to that client. So if you are using proposals in our system, you can go to the client's profile on the billings tab and then see there's a lot because this is a test account, but you can see all the proposals you have with that client. So you can see all your engagement letters and proposals. Just keeps it a little bit more organized and centralized on the client's profile. Um, there was also an update with the uh, accounts receivables report. So you can see this here. Um, so now, if I go back to, if I go to reports, you have infinity scroll here. So you don't have to open up, you don't have to have there's not no more tabs. It's an infinity scroll, and you can also export everything in one click, so then you can manipulate it in an Excel sheet. So just small improvements to the accounts receivable report. Another small little thing is if you have your email integrated with Financial Sense, Now, when you click an email, it'll open up the compose a message inside of Financial Sense. So if you click a hyperlinked email with the email integration, it's going to open up. So just little things that we're adding in here and there based on some feedback we've been getting. Okay. Function. How do you make all projects show up in the calendar view? For example, if I have a May annual project, I want to see it in the month of May. We don't, you should be able to, when you go to your calendar view, you should be able to see all the projects in that month. It's based on the due date, right? So the projects that have a due date for that month, let's say the you projects that are due in February, all those projects should show up in this view for February. That's how that works. Let me know if that answers your question, Carmen. We don't have bulk email there currently. Carmen, that's weird. There might be a reason for that. I can't tell without looking deeper into your account. So I would reach out to the team to see if they can look at your account and see why it's only showing 2 weeks out, 2 weeks. Um, and a guess is if it's a recurring project and you're not using the custom occurrences and having it recur a certain period of time out, that's why maybe you're only seeing so far out on your projects. That would be my guess, but team will have to take a deeper look at your settings to understand that. Okay. So let's go to, and feel free, guys, feel free to keep dropping questions in as I go through. Um, One other update was previewing documents. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but you wouldn't have seen it, but you would have noticed it. There was a lot of people having issues with previewing documents. For certain reasons, certain things would fail. Like you click it and it wouldn't be able to display it, like the PDF or the Excel file. So we released a big update. So now, like we've optimized it to where it should be showing up like 99% of the time. So you and your client should be able to preview the documents more easily inside a Financial Sense. It's more reliable. One thing is if the file is too big, I can't remember the exact file size, but if it's too big, it still won't show. But for all their documents and files, you should be able to preview them in Financial Sense on your end as a firm and also on the client and in the portal pretty easily. Um, let's see. Oh, this was a nice one too. So now in the client resources section, we got this feedback from a lot of you. What a lot of people were asking is if I add like, for example, let's say I have a client resource on the client's profile, right? I want these to be linked to the project. So now when you are in a project and you are adding a client resource, you have the ability to select a resource. So you select one of your client's profile. You can add a new resource or you can select one that's on the client's profile. So let's say I just want to use this one. I'm just going to save that. Now it's added the one that was on my client's profile onto the client. So now it's a little bit easier to manage and add them on the projects if you want them there as well. That's a good question, Katie. Let me ask the team about that. So Ellie, you should be able to preview Excel files as well. It may not be perfect, but you should be able to preview the Excel files if they're not too big. Jennifer, okay, so this is a problem. I don't know if you reach out to the team about this. The reason that's happening is because a certain set you have turned on in Adobe Sign. We've seen people with this issue where Adobe will cancel it if it's over a certain period of time based off the integration. So there's a setting you have to change in your Adobe account to prevent that from happening. If you reach out to our team, they should be able to show you how to turn that setting off or ch change that setting inside Adobe. Um, it should show, yeah, Sierra. So the resource I added here on the project was from the clients. So this resource would show on the client's profile and on the projects. I don't believe, let me go, let's go look. I can't remember if we've added that yet. The ability to sort contacts. No, we don't have the ability to sort contacts right now on a client's profile. So Ellie, one thing we are working on, hopefully for this quarter, is the ability to view the portal as a client. So especially even like for other stuff, not this isn't just for client tasks, but also for like let's say proposals. So basically the thought is there's going to be an icon here called like an maybe it's an eye icon, like an eye, right? And you'll be able to click it and see what the client sees in the portal. So you can kind of get an idea what it's going to look like, but also if the client has questions, you'll be able to go in and see that. So that is something we're working on. A lot of people have been asking for that. Sort contacts. Got that feedback. There isn't Sierra on the FC e-signatures. Um, if you test. Yeah, Susan, you're right. Like you can send yourself a client request to test it from your perspective. And also you could do the same thing with proposals, but we do want to make it easier. A lot of people don't like doing that. It adds a few extra steps. So we do want to make it a little bit easier on you guys. Okay. Let's see. We talked about previewing. So one improvement for month end close is you can now approve vendors in the month end close without the W-9. So there was certain use cases for month end close where even if you didn't have like the W-9 yet, you wanted to be able to approve the vendor. And you can now do that. So that is just one thing small thing I wanted to share there. Let's see. We also just want to mention this. We know that there has been some issues with split transactions in MEC. We did release some updates to resolve some of the issues with the transactions, especially if you transferred from recats to month-end close. We know that some people have been having some issues with those. But we also are working on adding split transactions for you guys. We've seen those. We've seen your feedback in the Facebook group and are working on that. Hold on one second. Just lost my screen. Um, Give me a second. Feel free to keep dropping questions while I work through this real quick. Okay, I'm back. Um, Micaiah, I think I'm saying that right. Sorry if I am saying it wrong. There isn't a way to create an invoice without a payment option. Ellie, forms are in the future. We don't have an ETA on that yet, though. Okay. So email filters on the client level. So inside of the email tab, you have the ability to filter, right? Um, Now you also, on the client's profile, have those filters as well. So you can see which emails were pinned to the client, which emails were pinned to open projects or pinned to close projects. So you just have a few more filters here that people were requesting for. Let's see, small update there. Uh, Bulk copy and delete project files. So if you guys were on some of the past um, webinars, you know now that when a client uploads a document, it will now automatically be added here as well. And you can see which client task it came from, right? Um, so one thing you can do now is select them in bulk and then copy them to the client's folder somewhere. So you can choose a folder now to copy it to in the client's profile. So it's easy to move these documents or copy them to other folders if you want them to live on the client's profile as well. You don't have to download and upload them manually anymore. Something we're working on right now is also the ability to bulk download from this view as well. So you can bulk download these files. Also, you will soon have the ability to move or copy it to a folder on the client's profile from here as well, not just from here. So just a lot of little things that we're doing to remove some of the clicks, extra clicks that you guys are having to go through to move documents where you want them to go. I don't know, it looks like there was another question. Marina, I believe that's a good question. I don't know the answer because I don't know if you have to, if you can just simply just, because I know like in billing, right? Like you can easily send a reminder or no, that one's paid. Let's go to proposals. In proposals, you can easily send a reminder, but it might be different because the payment failed. Um, I would check with our team on the best. That would be my guess, but there might be a different circumstance there. So I would reach out to support and check with them on like the best way to reach out to the client. Also on the failed payment, I'll mark that down as feedback, but I'll also give them feedback. It'd be nice when a payment fails if you, to get an email reminder, to get an email notification. Okay. Oh, okay. I didn't read your whole comment. What Amanda said is also a really good solution, right? You can request a new payment when a payment fails. You can request a new payment method from the client, so you get a payment method that won't fail, and then you can charge that. Two separate proposals for the client, and if I win both, can the service and the quotes be synced up, or would I have to create new task? I don't know if I understand your question, Buck, but if I do understand it, one thing we are working on is the ability or is the ability to where when a client accepts a proposal with certain services, it will generate certain projects. And that would sync the projects to those proposals as well. in the future. So if that's what you're asking, yes, not possible yet, but it's something we plan to add. Ellie, you'd have to ask the team to understand. They could check to see if it actually delivered to the inbox or not and confirm that. Okay. Um, 1 second. Also, another update to proposals that came in like at the beginning of last month is more branded colors on the proposals. So let me see if I have this in the change log. Yeah, so now like if you add color, you can see like more branded coloring in the proposal. You can see like this line here. So that is just a small update as well. We also released an API for client sending client tasks. So if you use our APIs, you now have a new option to where you can trigger a client task to be sent based off the API as well. Um, I don't have an ETA on it, Tim, but it's still something our team's working on. Um, Okay, so let's talk about things that are actively being developed right now, right? Something I'm trying to get away from, to be completely transparent with everyone, is giving ETAs because the roadmap is always changing, right? Things take longer than expected. There's roadblocks. So, and when it doesn't meet the exact ETA I share, some people get upset, which I understand why, right? So I'm trying to be transparent. And now when I talk about new features that are coming, how I am going to be doing it going forward is talk about whether it's being worked on or not being worked on. Because even if it's being worked on, sometimes it can take longer when there's unexpected delays. So let's talk about a lot of the new features that are being worked on right now. So I talked about the copying files already from client tasks. So you can do it right now on a project, right? So if you go, again, if you remember this, on the project files, client task uploads will automatically be displayed here, and you can easily copy them to a folder on the client's profile. What the team is actively working on and will be available soon is the ability to also just do that from here. If you're viewing this on the client task, you can easily copy it to the client's profile or a folder on the client's profile. You will also have the ability to bulk download these files, not just copy them somewhere from the project, and not just have to copy them to the client and then bulk download them. So just again, removing clicks in certain areas to save you guys some time. Um, Another one is, this is a big one, is project-based billing. So let me pull this one up. So I'm going to show you guys a few examples of like what this would essentially look like. This is a design. This is not live. It's something our team is working on. So when you're creating a project, this is not working like I hoped. Hold on. Okay. When you create a project, you'll have under the more options, you'll be able to now soon set a dollar budget for that project, right? Not just a time budget anymore. So you can set a dollar budget. Once you set a dollar budget, over here on the right-hand side, you'll have your time budgeting and your dollar budgeting, right? And you can see based off the billable rate that is against the project, and as you're tracking time, you can see if you're over your budget, like we are here, we are over budget. What's really cool about this is when you are tracking time to a project, you can invoice off the project. And when you invoice off the project will now be associated with that invoice. So you're linking projects and invoices now for project-based billing. Um, So I can choose like and maybe it's a fixed fee, right? It's not hourly. You can also select a fixed fee invoice or a recurring invoice or something, right? And associate that with the project. So if you're not doing time, you're doing fixed fee, you can still link projects and invoices. So you can link an invoice to a project after the fact, but also when you're creating an invoice, you will have the option to select a project to tie the new invoice to here. So now you can see in this example, you wouldn't probably do this, but I'm relating like several projects to this invoice. So it's basically linking projects and invoices together. And then when you're on a project, you'll also see this billing tab where you can see you track WIP, the hourly billables versus the amount billed as well. You can track project realization, and you can see all the associated invoices to that project. So this is something the team is actively working on now and almost finished with. We've been working with a lot of our customers to kind of design this the best way possible. Um, I cannot tell you any more ETAs, but it is really, really soon. It is almost pretty much done, but we couldn't get it out in time for this webinar. Um, Tim, I don't know if we can notify. We could look at that. Amanda's in this chat and she's capturing this feedback. Okay. Um, so that's one thing. The other thing, also related to billing, is get rid of is locking deliverables behind a paywall. So I'm going to show you guys this here. So basically, when you're invoicing a client, you'll have the ability to lock, let's say you do a tax return. This is a most widely used example. You file a tax return, you send it to a client, but you don't want the client to be able to view the tax return until they pay you for your work. Because then you're gonna have to chase them down because after they get what they wanted, they don't care anymore, right? They just forget about you. So you have the ability to lock tax returns behind deliverables. So there's certain ways the client will be able to see this, right? If you send them an invoice and they're making payment, they can see, for example, that there's a tax return locked behind this invoice. And then when they make payment, they can then download it. Also, inside the portal, when they're in the document section, they'll be notified if there's certain documents that they need to pay to unlock. And they'll see it here as well in the folders. So there's just multiple areas they can see it. And once they see it, it'll be unlocked and they can download it here as well as in the other areas inside of the DMS system where you've stored it. But this is something I'm showing you guys the client view right now. But there's like when you're creating an invoice, you can associate a document to lock behind it as well. Okay. Um, there are some ME month and close improvements that are coming. So ability to create vendors and customers from within financial sense is one. I mentioned that some people that care about the split transactions, we're working to add the support for those split transactions so they show up for you. If you migrated from recats to month-end close, we fixed all of the issues where like it was showing something different on the client side for you. So though if that was the challenge you were having with month-end close, those have all been fixed. We released updates about, I believe, a week or two ago on that. Um, and then the vendor reports. So outside of the 1099, there's other vendor reports. Oh, and account reconciliation as well. Let me show you that one. So this is what we've designed based off a lot of the feedback that we've been getting from the customers. So you have a report for review account reconciliation. You'll be able to see all the accounts that you have. You'll be able to see the type of account they are. And then you'll be able to, if you've confirmed it's been reviewed, you can mark it completed. It'll show whoever completed it as like it was reconciled by this person. We're just assuming that. But if it wasn't you who marked it completed, you can select someone else, and then it'll show the date it was reconciled by based off when you marked it completed. But again, if it was a different date, then you can select a different date. So this is where you keep a record of when things were reconciled, who they're reconciled by, and when. And that way you have a log of that, but also you know that before you move on to the transaction review. So that is how the reconciliation report is going to look. I'm curious if anyone has any thoughts on that. We've gone through a few iterations when talking with some of the clients. Um, if it's reconciled in QBO, it won't automatically update in financial sense. You'll have to come here to notate that. I don't know if there's a way to pull that. Amanda, that it would be interesting to see if we could pull that automatically from QBO. But I, Amanda's been working a lot on this one, so she would know if we've looked at that or not. Okay. Okay, what else? Oh, big one. So we've been working a lot on the Google Drive and OneDrive integration. Good news, we've made some big progress on the two-way sync. And the two-way sync is now in beta testing. So if you're, it's not live, but if you're interested in using Google Drive and OneDrive integration and having your documents in financial sense and Google Drive and OneDrive two-way sync with each other, you can now sign up for the beta test. We're just going through testing, making sure it's working well, making sure it's reliable before we release it live to everyone. So if you're interested in that, reach out to our team through chat support to get access to it. Especially for tax firms, what this is also going to allow you to do is print tax returns to Financial Sense from your tax system. You'll be able to sync Financial Sense documents to your desktop and then back them up in Google Drive and OneDrive. So all things that will be possible with this two-way sync that is now in beta testing. It does not include SharePoint currently. If you want to sign up for it inside the app of Financial Sense, just reach out to our team and let them know that you're interested and they can get you on the beta test. So just do it within the app, normal chat support. Okay. Um, what else? Is there anything else? That's basically that's everything that's really being actively worked on right now. There are goals to release other things this quarter. Um, but I'm trying to stick to just what is actively being worked on by our team. So because that's the most predictable things that are coming in the future going forward. Um, okay. I That's it. That's everything. There was a lot of good feedback. I know Amanda's been in the chats collecting a lot of your feedback. I've also been collecting it here. Going to share that with the team. Was there any other questions before we end the webinar? I really want to give you the sneak peek on the other things. It's just sometimes people get mad at me when they don't come out in time. So I'm trying not to do it anymore. Maybe if you send me a personal message, I'll give you a sneak peek. Okay. It looks like there aren't any other questions. I want to thank everyone for joining us this month for the monthly recap webinar. We'll see you guys next month with a lot of other new updates. Take care, everyone. Mhm.